Something happened on this shoot that I'd never seen before. I worked on amazing stories with Spielberg. I'm doing visual effects for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
And we did the first year, $40 million, some ridiculous amount of money. Good morning, everybody. Today, we are joined by a very dear friend of mine whose name is Bill Riley.
Pete and I have been doing this a very, very long time. And about maybe 10 or 15 years ago, what was a 60 and a 30 and a 15 is turned into a 30, a 15, a 6, a bunch of 10s, stills, content that just is endless, absolutely endless. So your day was, we would spend 2 days to shoot a 30-second commercial. Now we're spending 1 day to do 50 or 60 deliverables. Each one of these clients has its own TV station. They have their own channel. The need for content has put a lot of pressure on the work that we do. I love all my clients. They're all great.
Tell us how you got into this, young man.
So I went to UCLA Film School. I grew up in Yonkers, New York. Had a dream to come to California. My parents and my sister and I took a trip out to LA in the 70s. I stood right at the middle of UCLA, and I said to my mother when I was 13, I said, "This is where I'm coming to school." And 5 years later, I was a freshman at UCLA and went into the film school. Did a film, did some films there, and was very, very, very lucky to get a job right away at a visual effects company called DreamQuest, and worked on some pretty iconic films. Like you just don't know what you're doing until you're like it's done. Like I'm doing visual effects for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Buckaroo Banzai, and I worked on amazing stories with Spielberg, and then I got this crazy call from this crazy guy named Peter Friedman, and he brought me up to ILM and to Lucasfilm commercials. It was a very amazing time to be there. There was a lot going on. There was lots of films going on. We were doing a lot of commercials. I was on airplanes pretty much every day, traveled the country and gave lectures and talked to people about visual effects because I had done it. You travel the world, you get to see things, you get to do things. I always say that we in commercials do things that people enter contests to try to win. We get to walk around Wrigley Field when there's nobody there. We get to go into places, that no one ever gets to do. We get to go in the back door at Disneyland and get on rides. And, we get to do things that people don't get to do. And for that is pretty amazing. And we use AI all the time. I work in post-production as well, and AI is part of most programs that we use. It's the prompt writing, which is going to be the key thing. When I think about what AI is, it's asking the right questions to get the answers out.
Tell us a little bit about your first movie.
It's called Kaishaku. Kaishaku is a Japanese. It's a Japanese word. It means the person who is responsible to make sure that someone who wants to commit suicide actually kills himself. And it's an ancient thing. And the movie is about a woman who is very sick, and she asks her friend to make sure she kills herself, and she doesn't, and sort of the ramifications of what that is. It's kind of a thriller, little horror, little thriller.
So, Bill, tell us about your Serena Williams shoot for your client, Roe.
They signed Serena Williams. And right as we were doing the Roe work the first time, we kind of heard that there was going to be this big deal. And it's a very big deal. And so we shot last month in Florida. And she couldn't have been nicer. We had her for 1 day. We did an enormous amount of work. We shot that with a motion control camera. The folks over at 852 did the post. Sage East was our director. Something happened on this shoot that I'd never seen before. So we had two separate shoots. One was in what I call the blue room, and you'll see, if you see the spots, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's her in a blue environment. And then we moved her to a house nearby, and we were doing the spots, and we were of course running out of time, as you always do, and we called wrap. We wrapped at her time, and when that was that. She must have heard something about from the art director or the director or something, but we had a whole other scene set up in the kitchen that we just didn't get to. Now we called wrap. Everyone's high-fiving, the client's thrilled, hugging each other and everything. The AD says, "Hold on a second." She said that she'll do this extra shot for us. So we all got back in place, and Serena did another, I think it was another video or two for us.
What was the worst shoot you were on?
I
And don't say one of ours, please.
Pete, you talk in your book. I'll Get the Tip, which I'm a mention in that book, and I do appreciate it. And but my mention is I work my ass off, which I love because I still do. I only remember the good stuff. I really tried not to. I have we have stories of celebs that come that aren't ready, that don't really want to be there, that aren't prepared, or don't like whatever. I don't really remember that stuff. I remember the good things and the great times and how we made something. I'm going to write the follow-up to I'll Get the Tip, which is, I'll pay for parking.
You and me and a few other people did what nobody said we could do. Okay. And then when George changed his mind,
Yeah.
okay, and he said, "You can't use my name
Yeah.
in my company," we had a pivot. But
Yeah.
it didn't stop you. You
No.
and I, we worked tirelessly with Julie
Yeah.
and even
Yeah.
Kenny in those days. And we did the first year, $40 million or some ridiculous amount of money.
Insane amount.
It was a great amount. And it was on the heels of Star Wars, where he just made $780 million. So our 40 million looked like chump change. Thank you, Bill. Loved having you, bro.
We're proud to be sponsored by Litchfield Distillery. They like to call themselves Batchers in honor of the early farmers of Northwest Connecticut, a region known for its ample yield of wheat, corn, and barley. Growing these crops in the rocky terrain requires grit and determination. For the past decade, Litchfield Distillery has been busy distilling Litchfield County's best harvest into fine craft spirits, one batch at a time. Litchfield Distillery, the spirit of hard work.